Hey, Curious here. I had to go back to going off the timer for a second because there's something I got to talk about, and I don't know if I could do it in a very short way. I just saw a film called Grace, not Grace Under Fire. What was it called? Uh, Falling for Grace. It was a 2010 film, and it was a love story, and it was an okay story. It was really more interesting reading the Wikipedia article about it because it talked about how the lady independently produced it. Because originally they wanted to go with a Hispanic actress like Jennifer Lopez or something and make it a big block budget Hollywood thing. And the thing was is that she wanted it to be about Asian Americans. Well, what it talks about is uh well, I don't know if I want to spoil it, but there's spoilers ahead because I want to talk about the issue about it. And basically, the issue was that she got involved with a investigator firm. Jeez, you think it's so easy, and then you try to talk. Well, I don't know. Some people could actually talk on this channel. I mean, on YouTube, but not me. So I I can't freaking break down the synopsis to you. But let me try. Synopsis, sorry. Basically, this lady goes to a party. She's like works in a consulting firm. She meets a an investigator who is trying. I think he's a journalist, and he's trying to freaking. No, he works in a DA office or something like that. But what he's trying to do is stop the sweatshops in Chinatown in Manhattan because a designer has um, made her logo a Chinese designer, Asian American Chinese designer, fashion designer, has made her logo to say "Made in the USA." But she's using the sweatshops in Chinatown to do the work for her. And well, at the end, things work out. They meet up. They hook up. He doesn't frigging go off into his arranged marriage with his rich on rich family. You know. But instead, everything has a happy little friggin' postcard ending. And that's cool. The show was pretty good. But it brought up some issues about economics. And it brought up an issue about minimum wage and about immigration and domestic workloads. Now, I consider myself an economic progressive. Basically, I want pro labor, I want union. But as someone who is a near scarcity post futurist, I mean, near scarcity techno agrarian retro futurist, I know that's just a lot of blah blah blah, but it actually means something. I actually want good conditions in the United States. The reason I'm a retro futurist is because I just don't want friggin' things that look like the friggin' Seattle Tower, but I want things, well, basically, without being a nationalist and being all the ugly little things of being a nationalist, like race politics and super patriotism and all that. Although I do believe in patriotism versus frigging anti-establishment ideals. Forget that. But I think the system should work for the people. So I really want what's best. Like I said, near post scarcity, and that means as best to conditions that are actually best for everyone as you can get without being completely socialist. Because that's a form of statism and collectivism that I don't approve of either. In any case, it brings back to the point of minimum wage. Now, normally I'm like, no, you you have to have a minimum wage because otherwise all what will happen was corporate America will take advantage of comparative advantage of international trade and uh, disenfranchise all the working class on either side of the junk market international trading. We'll just become a version of Beijing slum workers. Just like that sweatshop in that show. And nobody wants that. We don't want a Walmart workforce completely across the board. Matter of fact, we don't want any of that. Although I do appreciate the big box stores myself. It's a sick irony. But what are you going to do if you're economically depressed? And basically, to be honest, I am. So, what I think, if you can get rid of corporatism, and although I'm sure many internationalists or socially progressives will not agree, if you can also keep a bit of nativism or economic nationalism without the authoritarian social ideals in it, then you can have an insulated economy where even though you have a progressive macroeconomic structure, it is independent microeconomics. In other words, big businesses have to pay a little bit, but you could deregulate on small business and individual persons. That's how I truly feel. And when I'm watching the show, I'm thinking, well, I'm all for that little, or I'm all for those people. I don't mean those people as in this person or that person, but well, I mean the friggin' people that are friggin' working in the sweatshops. And I don't care what race they are because I think race is a social construct sometimes. And race politics is definitely a social construct. If freaking race is. So we need to do away with that. And we need to do away, I think, I'll be honest, what I'm thinking, is we need to do away with some of the things that actually get in the way of helping people. So I'm questioning the balance there. Sure, I don't want a how do you would even say that? A corporate oligarchy. Let's just say it that way. A corporocracy. I can't say that. A corporatocracy. That's as close as I'm going to get. I don't want a corporate ran world. But at the same time, with the proper regulations that enable micro management of individualism. In other words, if we can not completely put big business on a leash, but do it just enough to get a cycle of dynamic work going where people can make it up the ladder and things do trickle down without just raining down on you, what they don't want, then a minimum wage might not be necessary. It might be more advantageous in a microeconomic individualist structure to actually lower the minimum wage, at least in some things. Because, well, if you do that, it will hurt businesses that are completely overregulated when it comes to small businesses and franchise. Because they can be sued as a corporate entity, like your McDonald's and your Schnitzel and all the things, but you want the safety regulations and the labor rights. So sure, you want that little Chinese sweatshop to be deregulated, but you also want safe little sweatshops that can afford to be in business, to employ people, to sell things domestically and compete on a local market, a domestic market, without growing so big that they become franchises themselves, or causing a a, a tariff wars between opposing state lines on trade. I wish I really could have made this video what I really wanted to say. But damn it, I really mean it. I mean, if it's better to employ more people for a lower wage and take the edges off society some other way, like having renewable energy so the cost of utilities and housing and other things is lowered, so the cost of living is lowered, and people can grow food in greenhouses because materials and energy is cheaper, then you improve the quality of living by lowering the cost of living and yet increasing the availability of work, which puts more people in the job market to be consumers. So yes, I am saying under certain conditions, maybe a lower minimum wage or no minimum wage, like street performers or somebody else, or somebody just working out of their house, that are forbidden to do that because they have to have certain licenses, because the corporatocracy, I got it right, friggin' doesn't want them competing with places like Target and Walmart and the expensive prices they pay, or individuals pay, to be charged in malls and other places that also keep people disenfranchised economically. I know I don't really completely know what I'm talking about, and it shows up in my dialogue, but I hope it gets the point across. At least what I'm thinking about. And if that means that there's got to be 100 little multi-ethnic sweatshops, just like there's frigging people that frigging have co-op food growing in abandoned lots and stuff like that, then I'm for it. Although anything that does produce will take the bottom line out of your local market and other places, and those prices will raise. So everything is a trade-off when it comes to economics, unfortunately. And, you know, what do you do? It would have to friggin' impact the friggin' bigger chains first. If you just didn't get rid of them franchises just outright. That's why I'm kind of for private ownership too, because you can't have a franchise on a private ownership. I don't think. Mm. Anyway, enough rambling. The movie was Falling to Grace. Pretty good little love story. Interesting subject politically on issues about race and economics and wage and what the hell we're going to do. All of us. Later on, guys.